necessary. There were two bodies here that the representatives and even some of you in the crowd have mentioned dealing with our schools. What were those two bodies? Legislature, right? And then who? Well, there's three if you want to add the courts in there, but and who else? School boards. Where was the Kansas State Board of Education? You know, what does the Constitution say about the Kansas State Board of Education? Kansas State Board of Education is created by our Constitution. I believe it's paragraph 6, and it's very specific. It is their responsibility to supervise all things that have to do with the education system in Kansas. And why is that relevant? Who do you think helps develop the formula that the legislature has to parse over and try to figure out how to make sense of every year? Kansas State Department of Education. Guess who they work for? That's the paragraph right after the Kansas State Board of Education. And they will appoint at will a director, or excuse me, not a director, but a
Superintendent.
no, it's not a superintendent. But anyway, they appoint an administrator who then administrates the education, the commissioner, for the for first of all the supervision responsibilities of the Board of Education, and then the legislature. The legislature is responsible then for funding a good education system, right? That's what the wording of the Constitution. So what's been missing in this whole discussion today? Kansas State Board of Education. I'm running against an incumbent that's been doing this for 35 years. I'm not a politician. 35 years running in both school districts and then 20 years in the Kansas State Board of Education, you're a politician. The reason why I'm running is because of something else that was said here today, and I'll put it in perspective. In Lansing School District, I know at least two older couples on a fixed income that are selling their houses. Any idea why? Because there's an $11 million swimming pool over in the new high school. So where does the Board of Education come into this? Well, you know what they've been doing in these years. First of all, they help build this formula, and then they approve the formula. Then the school districts send their budgets up. They consolidate those budgets, and then what do they do with those budgets? And now then the formula is applied to. They send it somewhere else. The legislature. But what did they tell the legislature about that consolidated budget? Nothing. They let them fight, our legislatures who were duking it out, let them fight out with the school and put them at odds. And when was the last time again you saw the Kansas State Board of Education listed anywhere in the Topeka newspaper? Never did. Why? Because they just sign it and they pass it on. So what I'm arguing for is a change in the way that we do business. I do believe that the Board of Education has a responsibility. You know, they don't approve a budget. They don't make legislation, but you know they've got an obligation to supervise under the Constitution what's going on in their school system. So the very minimum that the Board of Education can do is advise the legislature on what they think we are not spending our money wisely. For one good reason. What's that one good reason? It's your kids and my kids, your grandkids and my grandkids. So I think we've got an opportunity here that if we're not careful, we're really going to lose it. And that's the reason why I'm running. You know, we can either take, as the fundings come in, we can either take the money that we are allocating right now to our school systems and make sure it's going where it needs to go to make sure our kids are ready for the next jobs, the ones that are still yet to come. Or we can squander it and just parcel it out to pay budgets the way business usually always have. So what I'm asking for is your support to go make a difference. I am a conservative. I don't make any beans about it. I can tell you that the incumbent is not. I would also say that I expect you to hold me responsible. And I can tell you that you can't hold her responsible. And I hope to be standing here next year and answering your hard questions about, okay, you came up here and you spoke, but what did you do? And I can tell you that I will stand up here and I'll answer your questions, and I will make a difference with what you give me to make a difference with, whether it's with the education our kids have or how we're allocating our money. And then I expect, as good Republicans, you to tell me where I need to go. Hopefully it's in a good place. Now you need to know a little bit about the district. The board, there's only 10 members in the State Board of Education. Somebody asked me yesterday, well, Steve Fitzgerald is retired, there's a whole bunch of people get thrown their hat in the ring. You've been the chair, people know you in my area, they know you. Why don't you run for that? My answer was, there's 10 people, 10. That's 10% of the decisions that are being made about our education system that nobody knows about, being made by 10 people. Why would I want to go subject my efforts and my energies in an environment where I've got to figure it out with 174 other people? See, that's the other point that's being missing. 10 people are making decisions for all of us sitting here right now about our education system, and nobody knows about it. So again, I come back to why I start and I speak this way, is because I think people need to know this is constitutional. They have a constitutional responsibility, and yet nobody knows what they're doing. And I'm not going to badmouth. There's a lot of good board members there that are very embedded, work very hard with their local school districts. See, that's what's missing here now. If we had a State Board of Education member who was working just as hard as the local boards are to figure out the problems and come up with solutions, I wouldn't be up here. So now how can you help me get after this and figure it out for all of us, and specifically for our kids? I need some help, because this district is 6 counties, 140,000 voters, 17 school districts. It stretches from northern Leavenworth all the way to just south of Baldwin City. It stretches east and takes in Wyandotte and a little bit of Johnson. It's a huge district. As a matter of fact, part of the reason why I kind of look like an orange sherbet is because I started in the lower part of the city here and moved my way here, because Southern Lawrence belongs to this district.
Just Southern Lawrence, where is it at?
It ends at, Diana, what's the highway route?
31st?
No, the highway that cuts across.
40.
No, it's below 10. It's actually just the southern slice of Lawrence and then the eastern slice of Lawrence. Well, it's not so much voting, it's information. I've got 4 big signs that I'm going to ask the party here. I've got 4 big 4x4s that I want to get out. I'll have them by the end of the week around Baldwin City, around Eudora, and outside of Wellsville, because I have the northern part of the Wellsville district, I have Eudora, I have Baldwin City, I have eastern Lawrence. And so the issue here, because the second part of that is, if I asked you who your board member was, who here could tell me who they are? There's 2 people that saw me earlier that knew who the incumbent was. So has she been in your board, in your district? No, I don't think so. So what I have going for me in these 140,000 voters is that nobody knows her either. So this is about name recognition. And so I'm pounding the streets, I'm going in the population centers. I will be, and if I can get volunteers in Baldwin City or in Eudora or those places, this week I'm going to be pounding the pavement in those 2 areas. But for sure I need to get four locations of big signs where people will see that this is about, and I'll say it again, name recognition. I think that is what will make the difference here. And pounding the streets on Saturdays and Sundays in Wyandotte. I'm known in Leavenworth. I'm known somewhat in Wyandotte. But the point is here, I need some help. So, if the party would help me today, sometime within this week, and ask other people, people out that are out in the outer part of the district to help me find locations for 4x4 signs. I've got 12 signs. I've got more in the car. If you guys will take them and start plucking and putting them in places, this is about name recognition. Because I want to be your next first district member of the Kansas State Board of Education. So questions? I mean, that's. I have the flyers back there, the palm cards. There's a little chit on there if you have a super phone, if you flash, it'll take you right to my website, but the website's on there. I have Facebook. I'm going to start putting articles on Facebook. As part of this, I hate to say it, is not giving the other side too much information, because we're getting ready to go into a series of forums, and so, but I'm going to start doing that. But Facebook, I've got a Facebook presence, I have a web page present, and an email address in there that you guys can get a hold of me. So, any questions? Thank you so much, and this is a great gathering. Thank you.